Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and you guys are listening to an interview being done for Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. It's my great pleasure to be speaking with guitar player Brian Wilkinson from the band The Las Vegas. How you doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing good.
Now, I understand that the Las Vegas is from Chicago, and I know Chicago's very well known for having a big blues scene there, so I got to ask you, is there much of a rock scene there these days?
Yeah, there's actually a pretty big rock scene going on in Chicago. There's a lot of scenes. We're lucky to have pretty well-rounded music scene. A lot of metal, a lot of rock, a lot of blues. I mean, there's even a lot of electronic stuff if that's your thing. Yeah, we have some really awesome rock clubs that are thriving in Chicago. People are going to shows and having fun and seeing bands. So
okay.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, that's great. Now let me ask you, how long has the band been together?
That's kind of a loaded question. It's kind of confusing.
Okay.
I can't. I'm not original.
Okay, so how long have you been involved with the band, rather?
I've been in since 2012.
And
but the band, I believe, started when Adam and Nate Arley were in college in maybe 2002.
Oh, okay. And so, how did you get the gigs? Did you know any of the guys before becoming an official member of the band?
Yeah, we all were kind of intertwined throughout the Chicago music scene, and our drummer Nate books a club called Double Door. And I go in there a lot. I moved out to Chicago in 2010, and I kind of, I've been a touring musician for a long time, so I just kind of connected with those guys. We all kind of spoke the same language, and I ended up playing with them because the first reason was the other guitar player asked me to get a trip booked to go out to Montana, and flights that couldn't be canceled. So they had a show with Alice Cooper come up, and they asked me to do 5 days notice.
Wow.
That's the start of it.
And so you had 5 days to learn the songs. What was that process like for you?
I actually was driving. I'm from Vermont on the East Coast originally, and I was driving back from a family trip with my girlfriend. And Adam called me. The band was in the van driving back from a show in Rockford they'd done, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing on Friday?" And I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, "You want to learn the set, play with Alice Cooper?" I'm like, "Yeah, email me the song." So they emailed me the song, and I was listening. It's about an 18-hour drive from Vermont to Chicago.
Okay.
I was listening on the drive, and then the next day on Monday when we got home, I went and rehearsed with just the guitar player Adam, and then once or twice with the band, and then did the show on Friday.
Wow, and how exciting was that to be opening for somebody like Alice Cooper? Was Alice much of an influence on you growing up?
Yeah, my mom actually kind of was not really into artists like him. Not a religious household.
Yeah.
She didn't really jive well with guys like Alice Cooper and Marilyn Manson and stuff like that. So it was never something I was around growing up. But once I got older and figured out my own way through music and stuff, I mean, definitely a huge influence on playing guitar and just melodies.
Yeah.
And it was a huge honor to play with him. But it was something that we'd all done big shows and stuff before, so it wasn't scary or intimidating. We were just like, "Oh, this is cool. This would be a fun day." And it was. We're still, friends with him and his camp to this day.
And as far as one thing I love personally about a band like Alice Cooper is it's much more than just going to see a guy play songs on stage. It's a very theatrical show, and I know your band, the Las Vegas. You guys got a very theatrical look going, and the image with your band is just as big as what you guys do musically. So is that something that's really important to you? Put on a great rock show, and how important is the look versus the music to you?
I mean, the Las Vegas as a band is definitely it's a rock band. It's a rock star-esque band. We all have style on our own individually. Our singer Chad is the most theatrical one, which being the lead singer, that's in my opinion is totally acceptable.
Yeah.
He's very animated with his hands when he sings and the way he commands the stage, and And we're very much like, we want to be a band that you hang with in the bar on a day-to-day basis, but we also want to be the band that kids look up to on a stage, or someone looks up to on a stage, and we look like a unified force that's coming at you. We are a cohesive presentation. I think a band should be. I think each member should look like an action figure.
Yeah,
it should just be the guy sitting on his couch playing bass in his bathrobe. It should be a band that looks like they're dressed and ready to kill.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, that's again getting back to bands like Kiss and Alice Cooper. I always love bands that even Motley Crue and LA Guns. I always love bands that like put on a great rock show. Because if I want to just hear of a record, I can go home and listen to the whole record. But if I'm going to go see a band, I want to see something special. I want to get my money's worth, and I can definitely say this. Just as we sit here talking to one another, I'm looking at photos on your Facebook page, and you guys really got quite the image going. You guys do look like rock stars. I mean, I'm sure if all five of you walking down the street together, I'm sure people are going to stop and look, because you guys definitely got the got a real rock image going here.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, we're not, we generally dress the same every day. Like you obviously ramp it up a little bit for a show, but for the most part, we all wear the same thing you see us on stage wearing. We wear that on our day-to-day lives. So, we're pretty, we're all lifers. It's just kind of what we do.
And so I was curious, you mentioned that you're not an original member, so are you still thought of as a new guy, or do you feel like you fit in just as much with the other guys in the band?
I don't feel like the new guy per se.
Yeah.
And I did for a while, and we were going through. I ended up, if you want to call it replacing, it wasn't really that type of vibe, but I ended up stepping in for another guitar player, John Water, who had some illness, and he had to have surgeries and stuff, and they had an album coming out. So I silently stepped in, and then we'd trade shows from time to time where John would play guitar, or I would play guitar, or we'd have three guitar players.
Wow.
And then John just kind of more, in the last year and a half or so, he's kind of more stepped down. He's got a successful guitar pedal business.
Wow. He's
got a fiance and a little boy, so for him it just works better to be closer to Chicago. But I don't feel, I've never really felt like the new guy. They always treated me as an equal, more or less.
That's cool now.
On the road and playing.
Yeah. And now you kind of stepped in for John. You were saying on the road, and you had 5 days to kind of learn all the songs. So I was curious, stepping into a position like that, when you initially, because they probably didn't know at first if you were going to be a full-time member or what, did they kind of tell you, we want you to play the songs the way John plays them, or did they kind of allow you to come in and do your own thing?
Well, the kind of player I am, I've actually joined quite a few bands that were established and toured. I wasn't necessarily the hired gun type guy, but I've been very used to learning band songs and band sets and going out and touring with them. So my general approach is I try to learn things as close as they are on the record, or how things were played by the other guy, because I feel it's important when a band plays the songs that people are familiar with on stage, that people hear something that they're used to. And in my opinion, a record is the preparation to get people psyched to see a band live. We're in an era where cover bands reign supreme.
Yeah.
People are used to hearing the same songs, the same classic, rock songs, and the same top 40 song. So being an original band, you have to make a statement and keep it consistent throughout the years you're playing it, so that people become
familiar with it.
Familiar with it. So I always try to emulate what the other guy was doing, but slightly add my own flavor, when I feel it's appropriate.
So the band recently released a new album called Eat Me. Now, is this your first album with the band, or have you already done some recording previously?
I came in on 3 records ago.
Oh, okay.
Decisions. The album was already recorded, mastered, everything was set to go. They pretty much were starting a tour cycle, and John got some surgery dates.
Yeah.
So I stepped in. The album after that, I was involved in songwriting, but since the band had been the 5 of them for many years, it came time to record and work with a producer, and they ended up just taking the original 5 into the studio. So unfortunately, I wasn't a part of, other than some backup vocals, and I played guitar on a song or two.
So how exciting is it to finally kind of put your stamp in the band and kind of be part of an official release?
This is after being in the band 4 years in July, and it's my official statement on wax, if you could say that.
Yeah.
That's me. My songwriting is on this record. My voice, my little contributions. So for me, this is is another record for the band. For me, this is like the biggest record so far for the band personally, because it's the first one I'm on.
Yeah, and let me ask you in regards to that, because I'm a guy who kind of believes that whenever we're talking about any given band, I like to think that everybody that's in the band kind of brings some kind of influence into the band. What do you think you bring to the table when we're talking about the Las Vegas? I mean, what's do you think your influence, if you will, is?
Well, I'll just kind of go off of what some fans or people see the band over the years that told me. I've been told I bring energy, I bring melody.
Okay.
I bring consistency. I feel like I'm a pretty solid guitar player. I'm more of a rhythm player than a lead player, but I can play lead. But I also think I have songwriting to contribute as well, and so for me it was great to contribute songwriting and melodies and backup vocal ideas, guitar lines or whatever to the new album. So.
And as far as the songwriting goes, because to me that's a very big part of any band success. I mean, you could be a band like you guys. Well, you guys are 5 great looking rock dudes, but if that's all you had, to offer, you're not going to go very far. Is my point. But the songwriting is very very key. If you don't have the songs, it's not going to go far. So I was curious, as far as the songwriting process goes, when you guys get together, do you kind of write together like in the same room, or does everybody kind of bring in their own group of songs that they've worked on individually?
A lot of times for this band, it's been a lot of everyone writes in their own time and then throws demos at each other, and we kind of compile all the demos. Sometimes it's been just jamming in a room, but in the past a lot of it has been demos when everyone's at home, sending ideas back and forth. But this record in particular there were some older songs that were only done acoustic that were never released really.
Okay.
That we ended up doing electric, and then we had some new ones that actually were more or less formed in the room together because we were wanting to do another album. We were kind of messing around with songs, a few songs that we already knew, and then some new ideas came out, and we totally just built those in a room together.
And again, talking about this new album, Eat Me, I'm looking at the album cover. It's real. It's just very attention grabbing. I mean, it says the Las Vegas Eat Me. It's a cake. Whose idea was that? Because again, to me, that's just something that's very visual, and people are gonna take notice of it right away.
The album cover is definitely a way left field kind of idea. That was mainly the Adam and Nate Arling's idea. It really has nothing to do with the album content or anything, other than the fact that the title and the vibe of the album is very instinctual. So we just kind of wrote, recorded, and executed everything in like a gut feeling instinct. So Eat Me, almost like putting these thoughts down and recording and being like, you like it or you don't like it, eat me, who gives a shit.
Yeah. Now I know the record label is through a German label, and you guys released this new album March 18th. But is it available in the U.S. as well, or just in Germany at this point?
Yeah, we're with a distribution company that the AFM has partnered with in America. I think Canada too. It's called E1 Distribution.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't know where in America you can find it. I'm told it's in record stores and obviously on all the online outlets and everything. But there is hard copy for people out there who are fans of actual hard copy. It's out there, and there's some nice little eye candy inside the CD.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point because I'm an old school guy. I mean that's kind of where the era that I grew up in. You know, I still love to get physical CDs. You know what I can get still. A lot of the stuff I purchase, I go to Amazon.com just because you can't buy the stuff I want, you know, in the stores. But I also think if you're like if someone's you know, diehard Las Vegas fan, they'll go to your website, they'll go to Amazon.com, they'll do what they have to support the band to get their hands on that CD. And you made a very, very good point. I personally would much rather have a physical CD in my hand. I mean, I would love to have one right now as I'm talking to you. Look at the album cover, you know, look at the pictures, you know, look at the liner notes. You know, you do not get that really with you know, with a digital download or whatever. And I'm glad to see you guys are still you know, making physical copies available.
Yeah, you know, the digital download is kind of the way of the future, and love it or hate it,
yeah,
that's the way it is. And then in turn, you know, it's hard. It's like to like expect yourself to be able to make a living off of selling records nowadays. It's just non-existent. It's not a reality.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, record labels have suffered because of that, and a lot of parts of the industry have suffered because of that. But also, other parts have grown because it's, you know, such a digital world we live in. But yeah, we're thankful for fans and record labels that are still wanting to put money into bands and helping bands and putting out actual hard copy albums. People at AFM and our last record label, Frostbite, they truly love music, and they care about the artists that they're dealing with, and you know, they see something in the bands they represent and the bands they carry, and that's why we're lucky enough to have you know, support in that sense and putting out actual hard copy CDs and vinyl and stuff. And
talking about, you know, promoting the new album, I also recently checked out the video for your, I guess it's your single Bloodthirsty. Pretty awesome looking video. I was curious, why did you guys choose that as the single? Do you want to talk a little bit about the video and let people know where they can check it out?
The single was chosen by the label, I believe, actually. You know, you send them the songs, or I think it was the label. We were very, very happy with that choice as a single. We thought it was suitable. It's a good blend of a newer sound of the band compared to like older sound. It's a nice middle ground. The video you can find on YouTube. You can Google The Last Vegas Bloodthirsty. It comes right up. You can also go on the AFM Records YouTube channel. I think it's right there. The video we shot in LA. We went out. Our singer Chad lives out there, so we all ended up going out there for a little getaway in January, and we had our video buddy that does a lot of our stuff. He actually lives in Chicago. He came out. We just kind of shot, you know, ideas around and just kind of filmed some stuff. And a lot of the times when we do videos with him, we have a solid idea, and then we just kind of build on it as we go. And he has a really good instinct on what to get out of things, and you know, how to make things fun. He has a company called Whitewall Jones. Okay. And as far as touring goes, have you guys you have any plans for like an official tour? I seen you have a date coming up where you're going to be opening a show for The Darkness. I think that's a pretty cool pairing. What was it?
The Darkness. You guys are doing a show with The Darkness.
Oh yeah. More or less, like the spot, you know, we're at as a band is it's hard to go out and tour relentlessly, and you know, the band's done that. The band crisscrossed the United States countless times, across Canada, Europe. So what we're doing more with this album is we're refining what it is we're doing. Us, as a band, we want to play, you know, our favorite cities, our favorite venues, you know, the places where we really feel like we should be focusing on putting our energy and our efforts into. So we're mainly doing, so far the plan on this album cycle is we're doing some key Midwest stuff. We're doing a little bit of a run in Canada, in Ontario, in like 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks. We're doing a West Coast run of the major cities: San Francisco, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and through a Long Beach show. Wow. And then we're doing the Darkness show in Chicago, end of the month. And then we're going to do about a month in Europe in November, some of which being with the Choir Boys, tour. Killer band.
Oh wow! I could see you guys going over with them. That would really be a cool show.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. And, more stuff might pop up. We're always, interested in offers coming around. But we're not going to go out and do like a full U.S., tour from, New York to Seattle, Seattle to L.A., and L.A. over to Florida and back up. We're not going to, unless there's a
demand
plan for something like that. It's just, our country is big.
Yeah.
And it's hard, point blank, it's hard to get people to come out to shows.
Oh yeah. I mean, let alone to buy a CD. But I hear you. Now, do you find like when you've been over to Europe, there's much more of a love for what you guys do? I mean, I've heard from countless bands that when you go over to Europe, I mean, the European rock bands just, they love to support their rock bands out there.
Yes, Europe has a very firm grasp on what real music is.
Yeah.
On what they think is cool. What
they
think is well done. What they think is real. And luckily for us as a band, we've been blessed to be taken in by the Europeans, and they get what we do. There's a lot of bands that can tour Europe that can't tour the States.
Yeah,
There's a lot of bands that tour the States that can't tour Europe. They just don't
mix.
It doesn't mix, or it doesn't break through into the market enough where it makes it financially
impossible.
feasible.
Yeah. And as far as
they're more excited about guitar solos and real rock bands playing real rock music, and there's no tracks running, covering up for other stuff. That's like Europeans. They're all about the real deal.
Yeah, and as far as the places that you've toured with the band, where's been your probably favorite place to play?
I toured Europe twice before I was in Las Vegas.
Okay.
But my favorite place I've been in Europe is probably Romania.
Oh, wow.
But with the Las Vegas, probably our best shows are in Spain, England, and Croatia.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's interesting. Now, I was curious. I always love to ask people, like, you're a guitar player in the band, so in your case, I'd like to ask you, as far as playing the guitar, why did you pick the guitar as your instrument of choice? Is that just kind of the instrument you navigated more towards, or?
Yeah, my dad had a Stella acoustic. It's kind of a short scale, it's like a parlor guitar. Sitting around our house when I was a kid, and he never played it. He bought it when he was younger, and he never learned how to play it. So I got, I was maybe 15, 14.
Yeah.
And I showed some interest in it just out of the blue. So he's like, yeah, you can, take this, we'll get you some lessons. So I started playing, and I actually switched over to bass, to play bass, like maybe 4 months into my guitar lessons. Then I played bass until I was about 17, and then I joined my first band playing guitar at 17, and I haven't stopped since.
Now, would you say playing the bass or even would you say playing the bass made you a better guitar player, or maybe just an all-around better musician? I mean, to a lot of people, a bass is just a guitar with 4 strings, but is there much more to it than that?
Yeah, there's bass players, and then there's guitar players that play bass.
Yeah.
I would say it takes time to become a bass player, rather than being a guitar player that can play bass. I mean, bass is the simplified version of a guitar.
Okay.
Usually, unless you have some crazy string, multiple string guitar, bass. Usually it's 2 less strings than what you're used to on a guitar. But as long as you know your notes, you know placement and everything, and rhythm, you can translate pretty well. But the key to playing bass really well, in my opinion, is getting in the pocket of the drummer, listening to what everybody's doing, paying attention to what the drummer's doing. Especially you and the drummer are supposed to be locked together. That's the rhythm section. That's the skeleton heart of a band. Those 2 instruments.
Yeah.
So.
And how old were you when you first started playing? I was curious.
I started playing live at 17. I started playing actual guitar at 15.
Wow.
So started at 15, started playing out at 17, I started touring at 19.
And then, I'm sure taking lessons really helped you develop as a musician, but I'm sure also, like a lot of people, at some point you kind of you started kind of doing your own thing and getting your own style. So, what was it like when you the very first song you wrote on your own, first piece of original music even?
Yeah, I didn't take lessons for very long. I actually started very early on playing along the CDs in my room. My parents would leave the house, and I would crank up my stereo and crank up my amp and play along, and that's actually how I learned how to learn other people's songs.
So you can, more or less. You can play by ear pretty much then, is that correct?
Yeah, I can't read music or anything. I don't really know what any of the stuff on paper means. I wish I did. But
yeah, well, you know, you're in good company for a simple fact. The point I was just getting ready to make was, you take a guy like Eddie Van Halen, who people just, you know, he's the ultimate guitar god to many people, but he can't read a lick of music, and that just goes to show you that, you know, especially when you're talking about rock music, it's not all about being, you know, technically precise. I mean, a lot of what music has to do with, you know, is the feeling, like you say, you know, the drums, the bass playing, getting in the pocket, and it's not necessarily about being the most technically precise player.
Right. I mean, each guitar hero is a guitar hero for his own reason. You know, some guys like Yngwie are, you know, worshipped as technical geniuses.
Yeah.
Or Stevie Ray Vaughan is a blues legend, you know.
Yeah.
One of the blues legends, but not the original, but one of them. And you know, but you guys got guys like Angus Young or Eddie Van Halen that are in their own different corners of rock. And you know, I doubt Angus Young knows how to read music, but you listen to one note that guy plays and you know it's him.
Yeah.
B.B. King. B.B. King doesn't know shit about reading music. That guys like that, they mean every single note they play. That's what stands out. That's what people want to grasp more than anything. It's something that's real that they can almost taste.
And AC/DC is a perfect example of that, because, you know, they get accused so many times of, you know, every AC/DC song sounds the same, or it's the same three chords, but you know, whatever works for you, because I mean, they're still just as big as they were the day, you know, the band was first formed, and they're still selling, you know, million-selling albums. So if what you're doing ain't broke, don't fix it, you know.
Right, and and all their songs definitely do sound the same, but they also have, you know, a killer sound that they really, I mean, next to the Rose Tattoo thing, they really coined their sound. You know, they figured it out early on, and it, you know, obviously drew millions.
Yeah, but the last thing I want to touch base on before I let you go, Brian, is we mentioned the band's from Chicago, so I was curious. Probably two of the biggest bands rock bands come out of Chicago area. It would be Cheap Trick and Enough's Enough. Were you ever a fan of either of the bands?
Well, Cheap Trick is actually from Rockford, Illinois, not even Chicago. That's about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Chicago.
Okay.
You know, I guess in a big, you know, worldly scheme, Chicago is a good place to call them their hometown. But yeah, Cheap Trick, I definitely was a fan of growing up. Not really too familiar with Enough's Enough until I got a bit older.
Yeah.
But funny enough, the guys in Enough's Enough are definitely good friends of ours, and they're a riot. So.
And one last thing about Cheap Trick, you know, Tom Peterson, the bass player, he's famous for like playing. I think they say he's even credited in inventing it, but playing the 12-string bass. Have you ever played anything like that?
Never played a 12-string bass. I've played obviously 12-string guitar, which are a dream.
Yeah.
I would never want to have to service one or keep one in tune, but to play it is freaking sweet. I wouldn't be opposed to playing a 12-string bass. It'd be a total experience.
And so you were mentioning you play both, obviously guitars, you know, your main instrument, but do you has it ever helped you, the fact that you play bass and guitar and getting gigs, or do you prefer one over the other?
I mean, I'm obviously primarily a guitar player, but I do play bass on occasion. I've had to play bass for Las Vegas shows before. We had guys had stuff going on, and we had to. John, the guy that I came in his place. We actually had a show or a couple shows where Danny, the bass player, had some other obligations. So John played guitar and I played bass.
And what was that like? Playing a show with the guy you stepped in for. Was there ever any fear on your part of if he does good, they might want to bring him back, or was there none of that going on?
No. John is always going to be a part of the Las Vegas picture. I mean, he's always going to be a part. He's going to be a member of the band, even if he's not playing on the albums or playing live. I mean, John is
I
We're like a
yeah.
big family.
I love that attitude. I love that attitude. You know, no hard feelings among the members, and everybody sticking together.
Yeah, I mean, there was no hard feelings even when I came into the picture because John was sick and the train was still moving and they needed something. And you know, my first show with the band, it was me and John.
Wow.
We played together. You know, Adam wasn't there because he had something else going on. But you know, we've done other shows where it's been me and John. Even since, you know, I joined and John had surgeries. I mean, we played 2 nights with Guns N' Roses in Vegas, the two of us, when he had, you know, he was between surgeries. He had an actual bag on his hip connecting to his intestine.
Wow. That's amazing. You know.
So we're all real close. We're all good
ultimate rock soldier right there, but wow. And speaking of Guns N' Roses, what do you think about them getting back with Slash and Duff?
I think, you know, it's obviously a reunion between Axl and Slash is the main thing. I think, you know, Duff has played
before,
played with Axl. I don't know if you've read Duff's book, but there's a pretty cool section in there, him talking about the first time he saw Axl in like 12 years.
Yeah.
He played with GNR at Wembley, and you know how the fans just were shocked when he came out and played a few songs. But you know, I think there's a big fight going on right now between Guns N' Roses fans arguing over if Steven Adler and Izzy Stradlin are part of the reunion, which I can agree is a factor. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people dogged Axl and his version of Guns N' Roses, and I mean, I can tell you firsthand, seeing them play, hanging with those guys, they are a killer band. And if anyone doubts them or doubts Axl as a performer, I mean, just go see him.
Yeah.
3.5-hour shows that just rule. Killer lights, killer pyro, killer production. The band sounds great, and now having Axl, Slash, and Duff together, I mean, that's an iconic picture right there. And then Richard Fortas and Frank, I can't remember Frank's last name, the drummer.
Yeah.
They're a great pair. They were in Axl's version of GNR, and Richard looks a lot like Izzy.
Yeah.
He's a replacement for Izzy. Izzy plays like Izzy and he writes like Izzy, but you know, it's just kind of, you know, there's no use nitpicking. You should support whatever's going on in the rock world because anything could happen where it could end tomorrow.
And the interesting thing about, you know, Guns N' Roses, I mean, I'm one personally that never thought that we'd even get Slash and you know, Axl on the stage together. I mean, for simple fact, even up to a year ago, Axl was making comments that Slash was a cancer or whatever. But I'm personally glad to see that the guys have at least, before we both, you know, passed away or whatever, have patched up their differences.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree. Life's too short to hold grudges when they shared something spectacular together that changed their lives forever. And I'm glad that they got over it on a personal level, outside the money or outside the what fans say or what fans don't say. It's good for their well-being and their lives to bury the hatchet and be like, "What's up, man? What's up?" You know.
Yeah.
The feud is over.
In regards to the Las Vegas, that's one thing. It doesn't seem like you guys have going on. I mean, as far as being able to keep it all together, it sounds like you know, you don't have one guy dominating everything. It seems like it really is a family unit. You guys are like brothers and one for all. And I think as long as the band keeps that kind of attitude, I think you guys will, you know, have a bright future.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you saying that. I mean, no band or relationship goes without arguments or disagreements.
Yeah.
That's just human nature. But we've definitely figured out for ourselves what works in terms of not slow and steady wins the race per se, but almost that mentality where you don't burn yourself out. You learn to be like, look, I'm not feeling this anymore, or I don't feel it. Certain guys are not in the mood. You take a little bit of a break, or you take some time off, or you just slow down your activity a little bit, and then, you know, that's exactly what we've done multiple times, and we end up coming back
stronger than ever. Yeah.
You know, stronger than ever. But since you see bands that just burn themselves out, or they just write the same thing.
Yeah.
For example, there's a band I'm a big fan of called the Gaslight Anthem. I really like Brian's writing. I like the band a lot, and I admire. They just called a hiatus on the band because they're like, you know, we just came off a successful tour, but we don't believe in just writing another record and putting out a record.
Just for the sake of it,
for another album cycle to make more money. Like, we want to give you something that we need, and that, to me, that's what it's about.
Yeah, you know, and as far as, you know, as far as supporting your favorite rock band, to me the thing is, it's never really necessarily, although it's great to be able to have boasting rights and say, oh, we had a #1 record or whatever, but to me the thing is not necessarily how many albums you sell, it's about how long you're in the game, you know.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, well, Brian, I won't keep you any longer, but I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today. It's been a pleasure, and if you enjoy doing it, maybe we can do it again down the line. But thanks so much, and if I can ever do anything to help spread the word about you guys, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care and have a nice day. Bye-bye.